This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall and scores! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A's Cast Live. It is game 2 of the regular season coming your way here on the A's Radio Network and on A's Cast. And for all of our new listeners on Talk 650 KSTE and 95.5 KWNR FM, the Bull H2 in Las Vegas. Obviously, last night didn't go the way that we wanted to see the home opener in Seattle, but there were a lot of good things that we're going to go over. And how the A's game went yesterday against the Mariners as the Athletics lost 4-2 is also how quite a few games went around the league. If there was one thing that you could take from day one action, obviously we had the Dodgers and the Cubs tee it up early for 2 games already up in Tokyo, but yesterday was the official opening of Major League Baseball. And what we saw yesterday, bullpens around the league were terrible. And you kind of wonder, we saw some good starting performances, especially in this game. Logan Gilbert, as advertised, one of the tops pitchers in baseball last year in all of baseball. He led baseball in innings pitched and whip. And Luis Severino was paid by the Athletics to come to Sacramento and to be an ace, and he lived up to the billing. He looked fantastic. There was quite a few starters yesterday who threw the ball well. But bullpens and relievers were terrible. And it makes you wonder. And Ryan Rowland-Smith is going to join us coming up here, a former pitcher for the Seattle Mariners, the Aussie, part of our Aussie friends with Liam Hendricks. And we love having the Aussies on. And Ryan Rowland-Smith does Mariners television. So we'll have him on at 4:30. I can't wait to ask him this. We used to believe that pitchers were always ahead of hitters. That was like universal. That's how people viewed the start of the season, that hitting was going to be behind. A, was going to be cold. B, guys are just, trying to get going. But reality now is hitters come in ready to rock, and we baby pitchers so much. I was just having this conversation with Shooty Babbitt, my partner, that you will see and hear later on A's Cast on NBC Sports California. I forgot to tell you, we had a meeting. It has to be A's Cast on NBC Sports California, or we just say A's Cast.
Go A's Cast.
Yeah, well, you got to throw it out there too. A's Cast on NBC Sports California or A's Cast.
Yeah.
Can't just be A's Cast on NBC or A's Cast on NBC Sports. It's got to be A's Cast on NBC Sports California. Hope everybody liked it yesterday. If you got to see it, what we did on NBC Sports California, our first pregame show, we kind of drew it up from scratch, and I thought we did a really good job. But my partner, Shooty Babbitt, Steve Sachs will be my partner when we're in Sacramento on Monday for the home opener. Can't wait. We were talking about it in the green room just a few minutes ago. And my opinion, my humble opinion for what it's worth, is we now find every reason why pitchers can't throw. We, at the start of the year, are going to tell you guys can't go a lot of innings because it's early. Then once we hit the middle of the year, guys can't go a lot of innings. Why? Because we're saving them. Then at the end of the year, they can't go a lot of innings because they've had a long year.
All valid.
So I was telling Shooty this, going, listen, I talk to managers, I talk to pitching coaches, I talk to front office people like this. I hear this year. I just, as someone that's around this every single day, I hear the excuses over and over and over again. And I've watched the excuses mount. And the reality is, in where we are in modern day baseball, we have pitchers throwing less and less and less and less because we fear injury, where we want them and we're striving for them to throw harder than ever before. We're trying to manufacture velocity, unnatural velocity. When you start going to the plyo balls, heavy balls, and you're trying to figure out how am I going to throw harder than I'm really supposed to, unnatural velocity, we're finding that, as much as the driveline guys want to throw all this data out at us, guys, it's blowing out arms. So instead of relying on guys to be more pitchers than throwers, we still want throwers. Throw it as hard as you can, wherever it, whether you throw strikes or not, we just want you to throw as hard as you can. We'll when we face the media, we'll say we want you to throw strikes. But the reality is we just want you to throw as hard as you can, blow everybody's doors off. And so what happens is that guys throw less in spring training. They throw less throughout the year. Now guys throw less than ever before. So when the season starts, these hitters, they come to spring training. They're in shape. They're back. Like when my grandfather played, we always talk about my grandfather, Bob Elliott, who was the most valuable player of the National League in 1947. My grandfather had the most RBIs in the 40s. He was 7-time All-Star, or maybe 8-time All-Star. I got to check it. I think he couldn't play in one of the All-Star games. But anyway, those guys didn't do anything in the offseason. So when they showed up, they got in shape. That was spring training. Hitters today, they come ready to rock. They didn't have jobs in the offseason. These guys are studs. They take care of themselves. They're ready to hit. They're ready to hit the minute they hit the ground running in spring training. Pitchers are behind. So unless you got ungodly stuff like what you saw last night, at least in our game with Logan Gilbert and Severino, both were just fantastic. You got these pitchers that they're not ready to go, and they don't throw very much. That would be the only thing that I can say. Like, because you start years ago, it was hard to score early on the season. You look at day one, man.
Orioles put up 12.
The Orioles, how many guys hit home runs for the Orioles?
Let's see. Adley Rutschman had 2. Cedric Mullins had 2. Tyler O'Neill had a homer, and I think they had 6. And Jordan Westberg had a homer.
It was an
6.
Orioles set a franchise record with 6 opening day home runs. By the way, do you have the Tyler O'Neill? I would love it. Some things are just in our game, which makes our game so great. There's some things that are just really, really, really interesting, right? Like, why does a guy always homer on his birthday? Why does a guy always do well on July 4th? Why does a guy, you just don't know why. Something about opening day and Tyler O'Neill. This is amazing. He comes into yesterday's game having homered in 5 straight opening days. It's your first game of the year. 5 straight opening days. Now he's an Oriole. New team. Do things change? What did Tyler O'Neill do on opening day?
O'Neill drives one the other way. That's headed out toward right field. He's done it again. The unstoppable opening day machine. Tyler O'Neill has homered for a 6th consecutive year on opening day. This time, he does it in his home country.
How amazing is that?
Thank you to Orioles Television for that call. Yeah, I mean, and that's 3 different teams. Remember, Cardinal, Red Sox, and now Oriole. He's done it.
It's crazy. The Canadian native reached base safely in all 5 plate appearances Thursday. A home run, 2 singles, 2 walks, and 3 runs scored.
So this would have went back to 2020. So Cardinal, Red Sox, Oriole, yeah.
I mean, that's one of the coolest streaks that I can remember. I mean, what a way to start every year. Every year you start the season with a dinger. How you feeling?
Because I'm pretty sure, I think Baseball Reference put it out on Instagram and Twitter yesterday. I think the home run leader on opening day was, Adam Dunn. Him and someone else were tied with 8. Well, Tyler O'Neill now has 6. He has a chance to break it in 2 years.
No doubt. That's a lot. I mean, you think how many years you play? 8 years you had a home run on opening day. That's pretty impressive. By the way, we'll have our first edition of the Mark Kotsay Show. So Ryan Rowland-Smith will be here at 4:30, and Mark Kotsay will be here at 5:10. So our first edition brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford.
I'll put that in the open. Mark Kotsay show open for the podcast.
Nice.
Says it has that and the address if you want to go visit the dealership in Folsom.
Yeah. So support our sponsors, and including Foursome Lake Ford. I can tell you dealing with them has been a dream, and get Mark Kotsay a car for the season, it's been an absolute dream. So Folsom Lake Ford, I can tell you, having dealt with dealerships throughout my career, these guys are class. They're a class act and great to deal with. Absolutely great to deal with. There's some really interesting things I want to get into about Rob Manfred. He joined our buddy, friend of the program, the Mad Dog.
Bearded up Mad Dog Chris Russo.
Mad Dog Russo. We love Chris Russo, greatest sports talk show host of all time. He comes on the program all the time. We'll have him on later on during the season, but he had the commissioner on. We got to get to that. But let's start with some diamond notes before we get to Ryan Rowland-Smith.
Oh, dude, I made an open for it. Let's see if you
what do you got?
Hold on, let me see if you like this open for. Here's the open for Diamond Notes, voiced by the great Ray Jensen.
It's time for Diamond Notes, your latest around the athletics in Major League Baseball. Diamond Notes.
All right. I'm cool with it.
It's better than nothing.
I'm cool with it.
I have creative freedom on this program.
I'm cool with it. So Diamond Notes is basically where we take a look, and we're also doing it on the TV show where it's just simple, like what's going on an everyday basis. We need to know what's going on with the team, what's going on with around Major League Baseball. As you know, if you're a longtime listener of this show, but I always have to remember we have new people listening to us. A's Cast, you can listen to us anywhere in the world, as we got people listening all over. And then, of course, on the A's Radio Network, and then Talk 650 KSTE and 95.5 FM, The Bull down in Vegas. So we got a lot of new listeners. So we talk a lot of A's, but we talk a lot of Major League Baseball. And if the A's don't have a good season, we talk a lot of Major League Baseball. So the first Diamond Note is, to me, you paid Luis Severino to be the dude. Biggest contract in franchise history. Couldn't say it enough yesterday because I keep saying it because, we're trying to change the narrative with this organization. They're not spending money on players. It was the biggest free agent contract given to any player until Juan Soto signed the 765, whatever it was. It 765?
Yeah, big at bat for him yesterday. And how'd that come out against Josh Hader?
Wow, you're saying the Hader deal? Are you saying that the Juan Soto deal is already a bust?
Well, this isn't a hot take Tuesday. Maybe I'll save that for then.
Are you saying that the Juan Soto deal
I'm saying is
a bust already?
If I'm our friend Ray Jensen and Met fans, I'd be worried.
Panic? Panic?
I would say DEFCON, we're like more in the middle.
You got the panic button going already?
I have to get it.
All right. I have a panic button. Somehow it hasn't transferred to the new computer. Josh Hader, 3-2, got him with a slider. Yep. That was a great pitch.
It was. And Soto said he was looking fastball, and Hader's like, I'll throw you a slider.
And remember, Soto was the hero last year when the Yankees opened up against the Astros in Houston.
So
not this year. So according to Cody, hot take Friday, Juan Soto's
Fire Take Friday
40-year deal for $700 million is already a bust. But Luis Severino, wow, that was impressive to watch him in that sixth inning when he started juicing it up there. 97, 98, 99, lot in the tank there. Very impressive, throwing a ton of sweepers, fastballs, velocity was there. 6 innings. I was very impressed. That's what you paid for. You paid for a dude. You paid for a guy that's pitched for the Yankees, who's pitched for the Mets. He's pitched on the biggest stage. He's pitched in the postseason 14 times, and you wanted a good showing. Like the one thing you don't want to see when you make a big investment, like the Corbin Burns. We didn't even get to that yesterday. Corbin Burns didn't start opening day. Diamondbacks lost yesterday. He didn't start opening day because Corbin Burns, I guess, the St. Mary's Gale. He's out of L.A., right?
Bakersfield,
not L.A.
Not L.A.
On the other side of the
Not
grapevine.
the Bay Area either, like some writer said it was.
Really?
Yeah. Peter Gammons was like, well, the Giants and Buster Posey, Bay Area, Bakersfield. No, Peter, sorry, that's not the Bay Area.
Peter, you're better than that. That's not even close to the Bay Area. I would maybe give you some like Upper Valley, but that's
not even Northern California.
It's at the bottom of the grapevine. What do you mean? Are you talking about? Anyway, Corbin Burns. I didn't realize Corbin Burns is so regimented that he plans out every single day. And the Diamondbacks did not take that into account.
Oh.
So the pitching coach or the pitching coach to the front office, whoever you want to blame.
Dan Herron, is he still involved in the pitching?
He's so regimented that he wasn't able to start opening day because it didn't work with his workout program. So we just paid you a record amount of money. You can't go on opening day because this is on my schedule. Let me look at my calendar. Can I just look at? Wait, I got it on my phone. Can I look at my calendar? Yeah, opening day. How much money did you pay me?
Over $200 million.
Yeah, opening day doesn't work for me. I'll go on the 5th day.
Well, remember, there was a huge article a couple years ago on ESPN about how regimented he was. I think we talked about it on this program a few years ago about all, from making his bed to everything he does. I think Jeff Passan did. It was really, really interesting how he goes about his day. So, I mean, I get it, but you can't. I mean, you didn't let him know ahead of time. You wanted him to start on opening day.
You just paid him a record amount of money for him to throw in the 5th game of the season.
Yeah, but speaking of the Diamondbacks, real quick, they just gave a 5-year extension to Brandon Pfaadt, 5 years, $45 million. So that just came down right before we started.
You just paid a guy $200 million to pitch on the 5th day. Can I stress that enough? I don't care about Brandon Pfaadt, who I like Brandon Pfaadt, who came up big for them in the World Series run.
Yeah,
I just paid a guy over $200 million who can't pitch on opening day because of his calendar.
It's bad luck all around.
What the hell is going on? Are you serious? Can you imagine being the owner? Get his ass out on that mound. I'm paying him over $200 million.
That's the same owner that ripped them signing Jordan Montgomery, who's having Tommy John surgery again. So yeah, not
But
good.
Luis Severino, yes. The dude. You paid him to be the dude. He looked like the dude. Very impressed. I was very, very impressed. Hopefully 31 more starts. That was and Logan Gilbert, as advertised, that guy is a stud. The pitching matchup yesterday was fantastic. Diamond note number 2, I wanted to do a whole thing yesterday on Tyler Soderstrom. It's in the notes. I wanted to do it on TV yesterday. We ran out of time, and I said, we'll get to it tomorrow. And then what happens? Sody goes out and hits 2 home runs.
I have the highlights. You want to hear them?
Yes.
What's the highlight? It's the video package with the voice of Ken Korak.
So we're going to satisfy audio and video right here on A's Cast Live.
Correct. Here we go.
Drive into center. Julio going back at the track, right to the wall. He will turn and watch it fly. And there's the first run of the year for the Athletics. Infield to pull. Here's the pitch to Tyler. He swings and drills one to right. Is it high enough? And it is! And Soderstrom has homered twice tonight. And the A's take a 2-1 lead in the 8th. A 1-iron about 2 rows up in the seats, dead right field. And it's Soderstrom 2 and the Mariners 1.
Come on, Ken. You know better than that. No one can hit a 1-iron except God and Jack Nicklaus are the only people who hit 1-irons.
Video courtesy of NBC Sports, California.
That first one he hit, and he had that little bat flip to the side. You're like, and then he hits the second one. Now, I wanted to go into it yesterday, and now it kind of seems like Monday morning quarterback in a good way, but I think he's a big piece to what the season will look like. And I can't exactly put my finger on how, because I am a firm believer that Nick Kurtz is coming. And Nick Kurtz is going to play a role in this team this year. And it's going to be a dilemma on what to do. But Tyler Soderstrom, his bat, is going to play big for the Athletics this year. You know, we can talk about Rooker. We can talk about Blade and Butler. And, you know, we were hoping for a big rebound year by Geloff. And we know how good Langoliers is going to be. And we can talk about, but I think Soderstrom is going to be, and Andujar, hopefully Urshela, Jacob Wilson, by the way. Jacob Wilson, just watching the game with Shooty Babbitt, a professional scout. Shooty Babbitt, it was somebody in the Braves organization years ago, and John Schulholtz is one of the great executives of all time, built that Braves dynasty. Shooty got his foot in the door there, and there was somebody, I can't remember the guy's name, but she said, he was a mentor to a lot of scouts, and he would always ask them, "Oh, you like this guy, but do you love him? Do you love him?" And I have a story about that with Josh Donaldson and Shooty. So when Josh Donaldson first came up and he was struggling, and I was like, I believe in this guy. I like this guy. I've been talking to him. He's got this football mentality. And Shooty would say to me, he'd throw that garbage on me. I'm not a scout. But he'd be like, but do you love him? But do you love him? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then Donaldson would be sent down, right? He was hitting like 087. Donaldson would come back, and that's the rest is history. And I always remind Shooty, remember I said I loved him? I loved him when he was an MVP. I loved him when he was hitting 80. Because there's certain players you gravitate to and you go, that's the kind of guy I want to play with. That's the kind of guy I want on my team. Well, Jacob Wilson in Midland made Shooty fall in love with him. Shooty was down in Midland. Shooty's one of the great scouts in our game. There's a lot of people talked about, how great a career he's had. And he was down there, and he's just like, everything I was watching this kid, just the confidence, and he barrels everything. And we were watching the at-bats last night, and he's fouling it off and staying alive and fouling it off and barreling it up. And obviously he had the first hit of the year for the Athletics, and just, Shooty was very, very impressed. And he said, this kid made me fall in love with him. Well, I think Tyler Soderstrom is kind of like that too, right? I think Tyler Soderstrom is somebody who's going to have a very productive power year. He's going to play a major role with this team, and I think he showed it last night.
Yeah, and I remember when you brought it up, you mentioned a few weeks ago about how this is big for him, and because of Kurtz coming up, we know he's going to be here, and Soderstrom, he already transitioned from catcher to first, and we don't know if he has any other positions he could play. Could he play third maybe? Because, the organization is still looking for that third baseman in the future, I guess, because of Brett Harris's injury and all that. So you need him to get off to a good start, and he did last night with the 2 home runs. And they weren't cheapies either. What was it? One went 432 feet, and the second one went 362. He's only the third player in A's history to have 2 home runs on opening day, with Jason Giambi and Chris Davis, 2 of the best home run hitters we've seen in the last, 25, 30 years in the organization. So if he can keep this up for this year, the sky's the limit for this kid, because we've seen the potential ever since he got drafted in the first round. And was that 2020, the COVID year, when Soderstrom was drafted in the first round? So I'm excited, and I knew you were, because you highlighted him weeks ago. Then you wanted to talk about him yesterday, and then when he first hit a couple home runs.
God, I should have gone into it more yesterday. I would have looked brilliant. If
only you added him if only you drafted him on your fantasy team.
I had him on there.
Now you have every other A but him.
So we have a fantasy draft. We can now talk about it, I guess. We have a fantasy little league that we have going on here with the Athletics, and I wanted either 2 criteria. I wanted players from 2 criteria, right? You either have to play for the A's, you got to hit for average.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going against it. I'm going old school. I want guys who put the ball in play.
We added you a new guy today, too. We got you the driveline darling, Roman Anthony. Christian Campbell. Sorry, Roman Anthony's the other darling. Him, and then
I got the
Mayer.
one. There's a 3-headed monster of prospects coming
Mayer,
out for
Anthony, and Campbell
for the Red Sox, and I got one, and he plays all these positions, so I'm happy about it.
Position flexibility.
So I have Blade, I have Butler,
Langoliers,
I have Rooker, I have Langoliers, and I have Mason Miller. Right, those are the A's that I have.
Yes. No Jacob Wilson. Yeah. No Severino.
I got Larissa Rise. That was my best pick. Slowest bat speed in baseball. We're living in I also got Aaron Judge too.
No, he's a nice player.
He's a good little player.
I think he's going to be okay.
He's a good little player. Number 3 on Diamond Notes. What you need to know. Boy, the Mariners have handled it to the A's lately. I mean, wow. I didn't realize it was this bad. Since 2023, the Mariners are 22-5 against the A's.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, it was bad, but
when you put it that way,
I mean, I know it's just looking at it, because over the last 27 meetings, 22-5, 140-70 was the run scored to the runs allowed. I mean, the run differential
that's plus 70.
Plus 70 is incredible.
Plus 70.
Yeah.
Their ERA against the A's in that time, 2.56. Their team batting average is 241. Not a big deal, but for them, actually, they're such a strikeout team, they've hit 38 home runs during that time. And remember, when the A's are taking on the Mariners recently, you're either playing at T-Mobile. Someone said Safeco yesterday, and I'm like, wow, that's been a while, right? When's the last time it was Safeco?
I'm pretty sure when we had a meeting the other day, David Force said Safeco too, and I was like, whoa.
Bro, it hasn't been Safeco in years. Come on, get with the times. When the A's and Mariners are playing, I mean, that was the Coliseum and T-Mobile. You're talking about the two hardest places to hit.
Yeah, by park factors.
They're both in the top 5 too hard. I mean, because you could throw in Petco and San Francisco. And
I looked it up for going into the series. The hardest ballpark to hit in right now and the most pitcher-friendly is T-Mobile, according to the park factors.
Now that Oakland's gone?
Yeah. No, according to Baseball Savant.
So then the top 3 got to be San Francisco, San Diego, and Seattle.
I'd have to look. I want to see
what else has the cold. Because remember, we learned, and I know people hated this. Remember, we did the whole thing about humidity. Humidity is basically how much moisture is in the air. Doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. And they said these ballparks on the West Coast on the water, the humidity and it's cold, they're the toughest places to hit.
According to the park factor, the hardest ballparks were T-Mobile, Wrigley, and Globe Life. And then the most hitter-friendly are Coors, Chase, and Target Field.
Wait, go back. I think the hardest was Texas. We knew has been very pitcher-friendly. Cubs, is that's weather.
Well, yeah, because the Midwest.
It's just, is it blowing in or blowing out?
In Texas, they don't open the roof very
often. So San
often.
Francisco's on there.
Yeah, they're 5.
Wow, the Coliseum was not. Coliseum was 8th.
There were how many home runs at the Coliseum?
By the way, Tropicana Field's on there. Tropicana no longer, but Rays with the walk-off win at George Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa today.
Big win for the Rays. They're 1-0.
We're driving up, listening to MLB Network, and you know what they said? Oh, my God, what Tampa did to the ballpark, being outside, it looks great. All the talk about being in a minor league stadium, the guys on MLB Network were talking about how great it looked and how much better it is than looking at games at the Trop. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. And then seeing they come back and have a walk-off. Good first start there for the race.
Coming up next, Ryan Rowland-Smith, former pitcher and now does TV for the Mariners. Ask him, what happened to pitchers having the advantage to start the season? That's all coming next on A's Cast Live.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, now 7 years in a row. Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall.
A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabatia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, I played with Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big leagues. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. When my first year, I was trying to impress everybody, So right now it's just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% out there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Kick off the week with some weekday baseball starting Monday, April 7th through Wednesday, April 9th when the San Diego Padres head to the ballpark. Catch their only trip up to Sacramento this season. Check out available seats, suites, and pricing at athletics.com/tickets. A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
It's exciting. That's the time of the game. Everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm...
A's Cast Live continues from NBC Sports. Here's Chris Townsend.
Ryan Rowland-Smith from Mariners Television is going to join us. The big lefty from Down Under will be here on A's Cast Live to break down last night's game, what he saw with the pitching matchup. I mean, last night was what opening day should really be, right?
Yes. I mean, with the pitching.
Yeah. I mean, you want to see the teams. These are you're rolling out your best dudes. I mean, tonight. I mean, you look at tonight's action, Luis Castillo, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. And you're throwing out Jeffrey Springs, who, when healthy with the Rays, was fantastic. But that's what you want to see at the beginning of the year. You want to see these matchups that are the best dudes. These are the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, these are the lead guys. These are the big money guys. When we talk about trying to get the starting pitcher to be back to being a big deal, these are the matchups that you want. I
think he might be there. Let's see.
Ryan, how you doing? Welcome back to A's Cast Live.
What's up, guys? First of all, I apologize. There's no video feed here. There's just music cranking at the moment. They've got some DJ down the field. So, yeah, phone only. You can't see my pretty face.
Well, they'll see it tonight on television when you're doing the Mariners. But I was just talking about, you being a former pitcher, when we talk about opening day, last night really lived up to the billing. We want to see what the team's best are. And watching Logan Gilbert and Luis Severino, we talk about we want these guys, they're the dudes. They're the main guys. And we're seeing another one tonight. But just talk about that matchup last night. Both guys, I thought, threw the ball great. What did you see?
Yeah, it was awesome. First of all, Logan Gilbert, getting his first opening day start, that meant a lot to him, and you wanted to mean a lot to these guys as well. I feel like pitching has changed so much, even in the last 5 years, where guys getting deep into the game. The workhorses, it's gotten so much shorter. You got the opener now, so when you hear stuff, when you hear guys getting all fired up about pitching opening day, and you mentioned the best guy going against the best guy, on the other side, Luis Severino, man, he looked really good. He looked good last year in a Mets uniform. And then I love the fact the A's, went out and paid some money, got that 3-year deal for Luis Severino. And, he's carrying some weight on his shoulders because he's the dude, with everything with the Athletics having a situation where they're not rebuilding. They've got a young, really dynamic team. And here's Luis Severino, the salty veteran, kicking it off. And he was really good last night.
And then we throw it back out again tonight. I mean, Luis Castillo, he's one of the best guys in the league. He could be a lot of teams' number one. He's kind of been a number one. I mean, just Logan Gilbert's so good. Mm-hmm. And then going against Springs, we know what Springs was before he got hurt with Tampa. We got another good matchup tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Luis Castillo, one of the things you talk about, first of all, the home opener, that was one of his goals, right? To be that home opener, to be the ace. They call him the Rock around here. I don't know how to say it in Spanish. They say it in Spanish. I can't remember how to say it because I'm Australian and we have no idea how to speak Spanish at all, but it means the Rock, meaning he's the rock of the rotation. But look, he had a couple setbacks for him in regards to stuff. And I think he really, got away from his fastball too. I felt like, nothing really changed physically. All of a sudden the velo dipped a little bit because he was trying to, reinvent the wheel. But he got to a place last year where he was punching out 10. And he was just living fastball up in the strike zone. Yeah, he maybe lost half a mile, but that velo started to creep back up. And on top of that, you mentioned on your side, Jeffrey Springs, man. I can't wait to see this kid pitch. I've seen the highlights, that changeup. I'm a lefty myself, so I love watching lefties just dominate. So I'm looking forward to watching him, man. It's exciting the fact that the Athletics are all of a sudden got Severino and then Springs, if he's healthy, and then down the line, and then with the young offense you guys have got, it's going to be a lot of fun again tonight.
The Roca, they call him the Roca.
That's how you say it. Is that right? That's something like that. I'm not even going to attempt that in Australian accent, by the way, guys. I just don't do it. But that's what he goes by, the Rock. How about that?
I like it. Well, what we saw last night. You think about the Mariners who struggled so much last year with making contact. I mean, they just had so many strikeouts. Now you got Kevin Seitzer comes in, and he's leading. He's the hitting coach and the hitting program. I mean, one guy that could be a huge deal for the Mariners if he has a comeback year, a bounce back year. Randy Arozarena, and he goes deep last night.
Right. Yeah, that was good to see, man. I mean, look, we pay so much attention to Rodriguez, and obviously for good reason. But I think with Randy, it's interesting, man. Like I watched him a ton with the Tampa Bay Rays. Such a fun guy to watch. And then last year, all the reports being he tried to put on some size. He tried to get stronger. He wanted to hit for more power, and it kind of backfired on him a little bit. He lost a little bit of that, that explosiveness, a little bit more of that athleticism. And so this year, coming into spring training, he talked about how he feels comfortable now here on the other side of the country. I mean, it's tough, man. He's coming all the way across the other side of the country. Obviously being, he's kind of based down in that southeast part of the country. Now here he is up in Seattle, where we're far away from everything. But in spring training, he just had a different energy to him, man. And look, last night, I know Leclerc kind of hung that cement mixer for him to get with 2 strikes and, gave him something to hit. But just that swing alone, and then just the kind of the gesture back into the dugout to be like, hey, look, let's go, like fire up his teammates, meaning that he's thinking about first and all those. But man, I think a lot of people nationally talk about him having a bounce back year, but really good supporting cast for Julio, who everything rides on Julio. It really, really does. You could essentially say that publicly, privately, talk to front office. Everyone knows that. When Julio's going well, this team's going well. And I think he's got a nice little support staff around him, a support cast, with Randy and Victor Robles.
Well, yesterday was a rough day for bullpens all around Major League Baseball. Guys got roughed up. We saw it for the A's. Didn't work out. You mentioned Leclerc and also Tyler Ferguson. But you look around baseball, relievers had a collective ERA of 5.74 on opening day. A bunch of saves were blown. Back in the day, we used to talk so much about how pitchers were ahead of hitters, especially at the start of the year. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Or do you still agree with that? Or do you think that, things have changed?
Yeah, I think pitching is moving faster, evolving faster than hitting from a stuff point of view, and from a simple, max effort, 5 pitches in and out bat, I'm going to see nastier stuff. But on the flip side of that too, when you sort of slipping behind a little bit in regards to thinking about command, put it this way, if you're a relief pitcher and you've pitched, say, 4 or 5 times, right, in spring training, just short stints, and so a lot of these guys are trying to make teams. So you're just going to get straight max effort and just absolutely try and spin everything you can out of a slider. All of a sudden, that command gets a little sideways. And in spring training, guys are going to swing a little bit more, and guys are going to be more aggressive because, again, they're trying to make teams as well. Then all of a sudden, you get in a pressure cooker that first game of the season or that first week of the season. And then guess what? Guys are more patient. They have more of an approach. They've got a whole book or an iPad down in that dugout that tells everything they need to know about you. Trying to spin the crap out of a slider or blow a fastball by someone, and you slip behind 2-0. So I think in that sense, these pitchers are a little bit more behind as opposed to, say, a starting pitcher. But overall, I think when you're coming out of the gates or in spring training, look, pitchers have such an advantage, man. If you can be in the strike zone and you're pumping 97 with that, that riding fastball or that, nasty split or whatever it is, you're going to be ahead. But, man, you got to be in the strike zone. So I think it comes down to that. If pitchers are a little bit behind on commands, especially coming out of spring, then they're going to feel it. And that's where you see the bullpen start to teeter a little bit.
Ryan Rowland-Smith from Mariners Television joins us here on A's Cast Live. Let's end on this. I just always have a theory because I've been hearing it lately, like pitchers at the beginning, first of all, in spring training, hey, it's just spring training. We don't want to really work them too much. Then we get pitchers going at the start of the year and we hear that, well, it's early. Then in the middle of the year, I hear, well, we're trying to save them for the long haul. And then we get to the end of the year and we say, well, we can't pitch them a lot because it's been a long year. I keep hearing excuses why guys can't throw a lot of innings. It's changed since you pitched. Think about before you pitched, 80s, 90s. We're always figuring out a way to have guys throw less. Why are we doing that?
Yeah, hey, listen, man. It's pitching, like I said, it's evolved so much. I mean, look, we had in the middle of the year last year, MLB Network had the Greg Maddux documentary.
Yeah.
And it brought back so many memories. When I came up in the minor leagues, and we're talking 2001, I talked to, someone you're close to, Dallas Braden, about this as well. The whole thing, if you want to move up and you want to excel in professional baseball, okay, you're going to have some stuff, but you have to command the baseball, and you have to command the baseball both sides of the plate. And now I think that this generation now is like, wow, we have kind of unlocked how to throw 100 miles an hour as a 19-year-old. Man, we've unlocked how to spin this sweeper like crazy. And so now I think that the pendulum's kind of swung the other way, where it's like, all right, guys don't pitch inside that much anymore. They and this goes back to what I was talking about with Logan Gilbert, he was one of 4 guys who got past the 200 inning mark. And now I looked up his innings per start, right? And you go back and you look at when I was pitching, like Roy Halladay was one of those dudes. It was like, innings per start was like up in the high 7s every time he went out. And there was a bunch of dudes who did that. And I looked at Logan Gilbert. He led the league at 6.3 innings per start, because guys just, again, they don't value going deep in the game. And with that being said, if I don't have to go deep in the game, guess what? I'm going to go max effort every time out. So what happens is my command starts to go. And on top of that as well, look, injuries start to happen as well. And so now all of a sudden it's like, okay, man, we love this 100 miles per hour, this nasty split or this sweeper. But man, now all of a sudden we're going to be a little bit more careful. But you know what? If the kid blows out, we'll just get the next guy up. So the pitching has changed, and the mindset has changed from a development and from a value standpoint. I really believe, because having command and being healthy, yes, it's valuable. But man, they've just kind of unlocked something where you're a dime a dozen now if you're throwing 96 to 100.
Ryan, you're fantastic. We always appreciate the time. Have a great season. We'll check in with you later on during the season. Keep doing what you're doing on TV. You're fantastic.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I apologize about the TV part, the video stream. I will have that next time. But it was great chatting with you guys. Good luck this year, man. The athletics are fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate it. Be well.
Thanks, man.
Ryan Rowland-Smith. He is really good on television. And I love how he says, the sweeper.
That's
they got these sweepers.
It's the old Australian accent.
Yeah, he's great on TV. What he said right there, talking about our own Dallas Braden, and Dallas would, no question, second that, but command both sides of the plate. We see that box, right? When we watch baseball games, they show us that box every single game now. They used to not, I think Fox had it. Fox Sports had it. Was Fox the first one to have it? Because I know we had it here in the Bay Area, and we were Fox Sports, which then turned to Comcast Sportsnet, which now is NBC Sports. But I want to say Fox Sports. Dallaire knows this, because Dallaire, our boss, was one of the first guys using it. So it had to have been Fox Sports or Comcast Sportsnet, whatever. But then we all went to it, right? And I remember listening to an umpire at the Coliseum tell us, "Oh, not all the boxes are the same."
Of course.
Okay, all right, whatever. Anyway, but we got used to watching the box, right? And and you get to see really, okay, what a pitcher's control, right? That was always about the strike zone, but really you see the pitcher's control. To a right-handed hitter, can you pitch up and in? Can you pitch right below the hands? Can you pitch down and in? To a right-handed hitter, can you pitch away, down and in? Can you pitch out and up? Can you stay around the edges of the box? And can you do it with different speeds? Scott Emerson says all the time, what does he say? Hitting's timing. Pitching is what?
Disruption of timing.
That's all we hear from him. So what can you do? And then with your other pitches, Shooty Babbitt and I in the green room, Shooty's got the technology of that the A scouts have, so you can look at any pitcher. We don't have that. Maybe we should figure out if we can get it on. Would they allow us to have that?
I mean, we're pretty close to the front office.
So you can basically call up any pitcher and you can see any outing and anything. So we're looking at Springs today. Springs, just some of these circle changes that he puts right on the outer half low to right-handed hitters are just, wow. I mean, it's very impressive. But it's, can you change speeds? Can you pitch to different parts of the zone? Can you get people out in the zone? Because now more than ever, we are grading umpires. So umpires calling balls. So like last night, you immediately saw last night Logan Gilbert was getting outside calls that Severino wasn't. Because we are so trained to look at the strike zone. Years ago when Maddox and Glavine were living way out there, no one said anything. Everybody went, oh, they're great. Now we're so in tune with the strike zone. When you're outside the strike zone, you're getting calls. Everybody notices it. People go to social media, what's going on? So you saw last night that Gilbert was getting calls that Severino wasn't. But can you live? And then what happened with Sevy? Sevy started, here you go, man. He was able to get Mariners out throwing strikes inside the strike zone, but you got to be able to do it. Velocity helps. That's the problem. We have so many throwers and not pitchers now. Can you command your baseball with whatever pitches are yours, right? Whether you're throwing a fastball, slider, four-seamer, two-seamer, you're throwing a sweeper, a slider, a curveball, a split, circle change, whatever. There's now the kick change everybody's talking about. Whatever you're throwing.
Which we tried to mimic in the car hearing Dan Plesac describe how it works.
Yeah, I gotta see this whole kick change grip. I gotta see that. Or are you somebody that Ken Holtzman? I'll never forget. Donnie Alexander was an old pitching coach that I had growing up, and he was in the Astros organization and a couple of organizations. And he talked about, and that's when Ken Holtzman, when I interviewed him, and we did the thing also with Ray Fosse with Ken Holtzman. Rest in peace, both of them. Two great human beings, two great A's. Ken Holtzman threw what was called a BP fastball. And I remember I got taught that years ago. And essentially a BP fastball is, I'm going to show, a lot of guys will just put it a little bit deeper in your fingers, and I'm going to show you everything the same. Now, I'm not left-handed. My lefty doesn't look good, but I'm going to play it on the camera here. If you're just listening, but you're just doing your regular, boom, fastball. But you hold it a little deeper in. It's not a changeup. A changeup is a grip. Like a circle change, you have a grip. This kick change, whatever you got, split finger, it's grip orient. This is not changing your grip. You're just putting a little bit deeper. And for the hitter, because hitting's timing, pitching's disruption of timing, Kim Holtzman would give you the look of he wasn't a flamethrower, but he'd give you that look of a big fastball, and then it'd come out of his hands, and it'd just be X amount of miles an hour slower. So what happens is hitters see it. They see fastball. They want to crush it, and they get out in front. And what happens when you're out in front? All your weight's out in front. You can't get power behind it. You pop it up. You roll over it. It's a great pitch. It's a BP fastball. It's basically a changeup, right? So there's a lot of ways to get guys out inside the strike zone. Well, we have a generation of guys now who all they want to do is, and they don't care about strike zone. It's just throw as hard as you can. They don't care about strike zone. And the front office doesn't care about strike zone until you don't throw strikes.
Yeah,
until you start walking guys.
And we're seeing that more and more as evident with how bad a lot of the relievers were yesterday on opening day.
Nearly half the runs scored across the league yesterday. There was 130 runs scored yesterday.
But the Orioles scored 12 alone, so
56 of them were scored from the seventh inning or later, more than half.
That's not good. And if you go back and look at, which I did a couple of weeks ago, 59% of the innings came from starters last year, which means relievers threw 41%. So we're relying more and more and more on relievers every year. And it's probably going to go up even more this year. We harp on it all the time. So if you listen to this program, you already know this, but if you're new to this program, 855 pitchers last year, 863 the year before. I think we'll fall somewhere in between, right around that number again this year.
It's why our friends in the desert, our gambling crowd, they like betting the first 5 innings, because after that you get to the bullpens and you don't know. I got something on that. I thought that was a gambling note for everybody out there. I thought was really interesting that they did a study of baseball games from 2004 to 2018. It's a big
sample size.
That's a pretty big sample size. Now, I always harp on, I think it's important to be able to win close games, right?
Yeah, one-run games, Yes, those are important.
I think it's really, really important. And the one team that kind of poo-pooed that for me was 2 years ago, the Texas Rangers. They weren't very good in one-run games. They ended up winning the World Series. But I think there's a correlation to that. So in this study of outcomes of games from 2004 to 2018, how many games in Major League Baseball do you think were decided by one run?
2004 to 2018.
So that actually is part of the steroid era. I didn't even think about that.
So how many games? It has to be a good amount of number.
0 to 100, Cody. Where do you think?
74.
74. It was 28.6. You want to round it up to 28.7?
Percentage. Okay, yeah. Okay, I went a little high.
It was 28%. I thought I was shocked. I kind of duped you into that. I was shocked.
We said 0 to 100, so I figured it might be higher.
I was shy. I wanted you to go high on for the point of, I'm trying to prove a point here.
Yes.
So I want you to go high. That's why I duped him into that. 28%. It's basically 28%. Or we'll call it 29%.
We're almost talking about a third of games.
So in that span for those 14 years, it was really in the years, it fluctuates. It was like fluctuating between 26 and 31. But if you go to the 14 years, what's the average? It was basically 28.6. You like to round up 28 points. So it would be 29.
Yeah, almost, like I said, almost a third of games.
I was shocked by that the games ending in one run was not even close to half. That's why Vegas always sets the spread at 1.5. So, because we don't have normal spreads in baseball like football where you're getting 12 points and you get 3 points.
Yeah,
what they do is 1.5. So it's plus 1.5 or minus 1.5, and then they'll change the odds based on what you're getting. So we'll just go to tonight's game. The Athletics are getting plus 1.5, but it's minus 190. So you'd have to bet 190 to win 100. So they're saying, so that's how but every single game is going to be, one team's going to be minus 1.5, one team's going to be plus 1.5. And you'd say, well, why is it always that? Well, dude, you'd be amazed how many games don't finish. Look at opening day. How many games finished in one run? There was Marlins beat the Pirates 5-4.
Walk off. So it's, yeah.
Dodgers beat the Tigers 5-4, and that was it. So we had 14 games, and only 2 finished. It was a one-run differential.
Yeah, that's well, there's so many blow. I mean, a lot of them are blow. I mean, obviously the Orioles, Blue Jays is a blowout.
So it just goes to show, we talk about these close games. There's not as many close games as you think there is. I would have thought one-run game finishes, one-run game in the league night after night after night would be huge. Well, in that study that they did, and it was on a gambling site that I looked at this, it's like, yeah, there's not as many one-run games as you think there are around the league.
It's surprising. 29% rounding up over that span.
And part of that is still in the steroid era.
Yeah, so you would think that number would be I mean, at that number I think it would have been lower because of how many runs would have been scored during the steroid era. But now you go forward. What I wonder what it is now from 14 to now.
It would be 2018 to now.
Oh, 18. So, yeah, sorry, I was thinking 14-year period. So
it's a lot of games. I don't know, man. That's a lot of games. Somebody had to crunch some.
Yeah, that's a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, but that's night after night. That's like looking at every single game.
Hembo, if you're listening, can you do this research?
I mean, it was an extreme, right, from 2004 to 2018 was an extreme amount of games. It was extreme. It was huge. It was like, wow. So, I mean, so when I looked at that, the percentage meant something because, yeah, that was not a small sample size. Our sport that we think all these one-run games are happening night after night, we'll see. We can start checking it. You know, the other thing to check, I didn't check, but who threw less pitches last night, A's or Mariners? That's the Billy Bean thing.
Well, Severino threw what? Did he throw 100 or 99?
I think he threw 99.
So he had 99, and then I would say I think the Mariners threw less pitches. Well, no, they might have. No, I'll take the Mariners without looking, and they didn't even have to throw. We didn't even have to pitch in the bottom of the ninth inning. I would say I think it's the A's threw more pitches.
It's a great indicator. The team who throws less pitches will win. Let's see. Pitches, strikes. Oh, that's batter's face. Wait, where is it? Hold on. Where is it? Severino threw 99. Ferguson threw 15. Leclerc threw 28. And McFarland threw 8 for a total of 150. Okay. Seattle had 83 by Gilbert, 11 by Thornton. Munoz threw 12 for 106. So Billy Bean's good indicator.
Yeah.
The A's threw way more pitches in the game. The A's lost the game 4-2. That Billy Bean guy's kind of smart.
Yeah, I think he knew what he was talking about.
That Billy Bean guy, and I remember when he first said it to me, I went, I never thought about that. How simple is that? We throw less pitches. It's kind of like in football. Football, we run more plays. We got a better chance to win the game if we run more offensive plays than they do. It's like the reverse here is if we throw less pitches, we got a better chance to win.
Yeah, and Logan Gilbert went 7 innings too, right? So you got 7 innings and then throwing 83 pitches. They only used 2 relievers, and they got out of the innings pretty quickly.
Let's pause for station identification right here on A's Cast.
This is Shea Langoliers. You're listening to A's Cast in Sacramento's new home for athletics baseball. Talk 650 KSTE.
Shea Langoliers. What do we have coming up?
Well, we'll go to Kotsay around like 5:10, 5:15, so you can get out of here because he was a little over. He was like around 11 minutes long so you can go get ready for
Yeah,
TV.
you know what sucks about this Kotsay interview? It's great, by the way. Brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. Is that it's after a tough loss, right? You know, we do them on Fridays, so the season started on Thursday. It would have been better if we had him before the season starts, right? Because obviously he's a little miffed about last night.
We usually get when he's in a good mood, it's great. But I feel like sometimes when we get him,
well, it's just the first, right?
Yeah.
You want that first win, you want the first everything. Everybody wants first hit, home run, first RBI, first everything, first win, first this. And the A's didn't get it last night. I mean, there's big expectations. And we'll talk about those expectations next, right here on A's Cast Live and the Mark Kotsay Show.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall, folsomlakeford.com.
That ball is out of here.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game time, schedules, and more.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's to his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of like young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years, the talent. It's exciting, when you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play. Those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Kick off the week with some weekday baseball starting Monday, April 7th through Wednesday, April 9th when the San Diego Padres head to the ballpark. Catch their only trip up to Sacramento this season. Check out available seats, suites, and pricing at athletics.com/tickets.
Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick in a sense. And it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun.
Streaming from NBC Sports, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Cody, put up the lineups. You're able to do this. We'll see it on the broadcast later on today.
There we go.
All right, Lawrence Butler leading off, followed by Brent Rooker, then J.J. Bleday, Shea Langeliers, Tyler Soderstrom after the 2 home runs. Seth Brown will get the start, and he's going to bat 6th. Urshela back at third base, Muncy at second, and then Jacob Wilson at short. So not going to be easy again tonight. Luis Castillo, he's had the A's number. I mean, all these guys. I mean, the way the Mariners have played against the Athletics, it's like really wow.
Brownie does have a home run against Castillo. That's part of the reason probably why he's in the lineup. I mean, also Butler and Lawrence Butler and Bleday also have home runs, and Max Schumann all have home runs off Castillo. Obviously, no Schumann in the lineup today, but the other 3 guys.
At some point, we got to see the shoe.
Well, I mean, I told you this stat yesterday about Max Muncy that I sent over to our buddy Florito for NBC Sports, who produces A's Cast on NBC Sports California, about the note about Max Muncy being the the number. We would become the 7th youngest opening day starting second baseman, which he was in Athletics history, the youngest since Shooty Babbitt in 1981.
What do you think that means to Muncy?
Do you think it means more to him or Shooty?
I think it means way more to Shooty. Way more to Shooty.
I hope no one told him. I hope you guys just surprised him with it on the pregame show.
Luis Castillo is 4-0 with a 1.97 ERA in his last 5 starts versus the A's.
It's pretty impressive. He's an impressive pitcher. Those are great changeup.
He's got great hair.
Yes. What?
The dreads?
El Rocca. The Rock.
The Rock.
El Rocco. El Roca.
He's the Rock.
That's as Ryan Rowland-Smith told us in the last segment. Yeah, it's
that's seriously impressive. By the way, his hair, the dreads are awesome.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know if he still has the dreads.
It's
hard to keep a hat on.
I wasn't grinding a lot of Mariners spring training games in Peoria.
But, yeah, but I mean, if you can rock that look, it wouldn't work for me. It wouldn't work for me, but if I could rock that look, don't let them fool you. Oh no.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't have that coming. But yeah, no, I mean, he looks good.
I love listening to reggae when I play golf. I'll put on on Pandora, put on Bob Marley. And Bob Marley's son, A Beach in Hawaii. Oh, I love listening to reggae when I play golf.
I did not have this on my bingo card.
You didn't have that?
Ever. Not just today, ever.
But it's a sweet look. Luis Castillo's got a sweet look.
I looked it up because I was curious. Like, I thought I know how good his changeup was. I was like, how did hitters do last year against his pitches? Actually, his 4-seam fastball is the best. Hitters at 204, and they struck out 94 times in 274 at-bats. So avoid the 4-seam fastball today if you're in the A's lineup for Luis Severino. Luis Castillo.
I mean, it's kind of weird when I was reading the notes yesterday of how many guys. It doesn't seem like it said Bryce Harper's now in his 7th year with the Phillies. And you're like, wow. You remember that whole free agency and he signed late and he leaves the Nats and he went to the Phillies because he always wanted to be in Philadelphia. And you're like, bro, just say you took the money. Just say they gave you 13 years, 300 and something million. Remember when we thought 13 years, 300 million was a lot of money?
Yeah.
13 years, 300 something million. But yeah, this is year 7 for Bryce Harper. I mean, when did Castillo come over from the Reds?
Oh, that was in the 21?
That was a long time ago.
I'm spitballing that it was 21. I'm double checking.
And he signed an extension with them. I can't remember how long it is, but he's now been there a while.
Because I think he was a Giants prospect. Then he was in Miami. Then he went from Miami to Cincinnati, I believe. He went to the Mariners in 2022. So he's been with the Mariners since 22.
He's in the year 3 of a $108 million 5-year extension. Some of these guys, Machado. Now that's 7 years now in San Diego. Been a long time since he brawled with Josh. Well, it wasn't really a brawl, but Orioles, A's, team getting it after each other at Camden Yards. It's amazing. It's like no matter how big you are, how great you are, the sport will always keep moving on without you. All right, we saw Ichiro throwing out the first pitch was really cool. Ricky Henderson's family out there throwing out the first pitch. It's just still like watching the game with Shooty yesterday, and they're watching the highlight of that. It's just like, man, it is so hard to believe Ricky Henderson is no longer with us.
Yeah, between seeing that and seeing Ichiro throw 84 on the gun to Dan Wilson, what is he, 51 years old now? Or no, he's not that old. But either way, his age throwing that
younger
hard,
than I am.
Throwing that hard, pretty impressive.
What a great arm! What a player Ichiro was. The great Dave Niehaus, the first game in they're playing at the Coliseum, and he throws out T Long. It's like the highlight as he throws him out third base. It's like something out of Star Wars.
I mean, it was an incredible throw. Ichiro is 51. Nice. Wow, yeah.
Not that old.
Well, he debuted at 27, so.
He is not that old. Yeah, it's hard to believe Ichiro is going into the Hall of Fame. He was not that long ago. We were at the Tokyo Dome in 2019 for his last games, which is still one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen in my career. It'll go down there like, of all the wild stuff that I've seen in my career, like, what are some moments that really stand out? And it was to watch a country say goodbye to a player, not a city, not a state, not a university, a country said goodbye to Ichiro Suzuki. It was powerful. It was so, and for us to be there and to know that Bob Melvin was such a part of it, it was awesome. It was just awesome. Ichiro is a very powerful figure, and what beloved. Can you imagine the United States of America saying goodbye to a player when he retires? I mean, we've had guys have their retirement tours, but this was different. This was like,
who would that guy be in baseball now?
There isn't. I think the last guy would probably be Cal Ripken Jr.
I was going to say Cal, yeah. Yeah, right now I don't think we have that guy.
There was too many people who hated Tom Brady.
Well, yes.
There's a lot of people, for everybody who loved Tom Brady, there's a lot of people who didn't like Tom Brady. Tom Brady would have been that guy, but there's a lot of people that didn't like Tom Brady. This is a very rare, like Jordan.
Yeah, I was saying.
The problem is Jordan came back, and as I always will remember him, as a Washington Wizard.
If we had to pick a guy currently that everyone loves, doesn't hate, because you can't say LeBron,
Steph.
You have to say Steph Curry.
We're looking at a picture of Steph Curry right here.
Yeah.
In our little studio here at NBC, and it's a picture of Steph and his wife Aisha, and I believe that's the oldest daughter.
Riley, I think her name is Riley.
And that's from a long time ago.
2015.
Is that 2015?
For our first championship.
Yeah, his first daughter's got to be almost a teenager by now, right?
So, yeah, so look how young Steph looks.
Oh, my God.
Now he's an old man at 37.
I know. Steph Curry is old. Chris Mullen's here today, the Hall of Famer. Chris Mullen came walking up today. Seeing Chris Mullen, I haven't seen him in years.
That's basketball greatness.
That is bad. He's a basketball Hall of Famer.
And, yes, pretty good player. Pretty damn good player.
3-time Big East Player of the Year.
St. John's.
Back when the Big East was legit.
Yeah, that was St. John's,
Patrick
Syracuse,
Ewing,
Georgetown, Villanova.
I want to say 3 years he was the Big East Player of the Year.
St. John's is back now, though. Patino. I mean, they lost in the second round, but
they cashed out pretty early.
Patino got him a 2 seed. That's all that matters.
All righty. Each week on Friday, we will do the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. And Mark Kotsay, it's always, this is a conversation. Obviously, last night happened, but we're going to talk about, going to spring training and how getting into it, because it's only been one game, but he was a little salty this morning. And I understand, right? Like there's big expectations. You know what? A lot of people have bravado in spring. A lot of people have bravado. Well, you better bring that to the start of the year, because you get out to a bad start, and what happens with a bad start in a sport that you play every single day? Boy, you start to chase. Boy, the anxiety. Boy, oh my God, we're gonna try and get everything back in this at bat, in this inning, in this game, and it doesn't work that way. You dig a hole, it takes forever for you to get out of it. How many teams have we seen play the 500 game? What is the 500 game? Well, the 500 game is you get below 500 and you do everything you can to get back to 500. And we're here. And then you drop back. Then you do everything you can to try and get back to 500 again. And then you drop back. And it is very hard to drop a bunch of games, get back to 500, and then go way past 500. Most teams don't do that. That's called fact.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of teams that fall below 500 and just stay there and can't climb out, that's why winning these games so early in the season, as you've mentioned so many years in the past, and I heard you mention it last night on Ace Cast on NBC Sports California, like winning these games early in the season, come back that means something.
Oh, yeah.
The ones you lose, it might keep you out of the playoffs by a game.
All right, so that's going to
we're still got about 4 minutes left after this is done.
Are we?
Yeah.
What time do you want me to go to? I gotta go.
Well, the break is 5:27
because we have a weird start time. Is that what it is?
Well, we break at 27, so we give you time to get ready for a pregame on NBC Sports California.
So,
Kotsay here will be like 11 minutes. So they'll get us to about 5:22, and then there'll still be about 5 minutes left.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Can we play Mason Miller from yesterday?
I think there's something you can dig up and you can break down.
Sure, I can dig and dump to get into something. Maybe we can play Mad Dog's comments about.
You know what? You want to do that real quick?
Which one do you want?
You want them
Dodgers as the villain or Dodgers?
Because the next time we see you on this show, we're going to be in Sacramento, which we're pumped for. I can't wait.
Monday, 4
Wait
o'clock.
till you see our set. Wait till you see the lighting. Wait till you see it. It's going to be badass. It is going to be badass. Excuse my language, but I'm fired up. I cannot wait for you guys to see our set in Sacramento. It's going to be sweet.
I saw most of it on Tuesday when I was there. They still have to put the set together, which they're doing, and I saw the lights and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be on Monday at 4 o'clock for opening day. David Forrest will be with us, and we're hoping to have Lawrence Butler on set in West Sacramento at Sutter Hill.
Play the image problem one.
Oh, okay. Let me get that right.
Because I think this is so true. So Chris Mad Dog Russo, friend of the program, had the commissioners on, also friend of the program. We've had him twice, Rob Manfred, and talking about just perception, Dodgers,
payroll,
other teams. Here's Mad Dog and the commish.
Are you comfortable with their payroll compared to everybody else in the sport?
No, I mean, look, I can't be comfortable with the level of payroll disparity that we have. We sell competition. Okay. And it's great. We go out at the end of the year, and I'm guilty of this. We say, we haven't had any repeat winners in a number of years. And, Detroit and Cleveland made the playoffs last year. But there's another aspect to competitive balance, and that's the winter. I think of as the wintertime aspect. Do fans in these markets look at what's going on and believe their team has a realistic opportunity to win? And it's important. That perception is important to driving the business, to selling tickets, and to the overall health of the sport. And, based on what we're hearing from fans and, frankly, reading all over the place, we have a perception problem on that front.
That's the commissioner of Major League Baseball. That's not just some nobody.
I mean, that's fact, right? That is fact. And until you somehow implement a salary cap, this is what, everybody likes to applaud the Dodgers. And it's so funny. It's like, do you think the Dodgers, if they had a weak television contract, they'd be doing all this?
No.
So that's when I'm not going to mention her name, but she's somebody who used to be on MLB Network, and she's around the Dodgers, and she started chastising everybody. I want to go, you know what? You're so ignorant. And it's just, there's a reason why certain people who get into these conversations become very unlikable. Is when you start saying to the other organizations, well, you could do the same. You're acting like everybody has over $300 million a year in television revenue coming their way. You're acting like it's apples to apples and everybody else. You could do it. No, you can't. Because you have the best television contract. You are not spending more than your television contract. Let's put that perfectly out there. Like we because of NBC, we've known and everybody knows about the Phillies. The Phillies TV contract is $250 million a year. Their payroll is not over $250 million a year. So they look at all their big spenders. No, they're spending their money on television. They're spending their TV money, but all their ticket sales, all their corporate sponsorships, all the beers, the hot dogs, the seats, the merch, everything goes right into their pocket. So these teams that have these big television contracts, they look like they're big spenders, but the reality is they're not. They're spending the free TV money. They're getting TV money just for, hey, show our games. Here's $250 million. Dodgers are getting over $300 million a year from Time Warner. And people around them are going to go, well, everybody else could spend money like that. Well, yeah, if everybody was getting over $300 million a year in television money, but the reality is they're not. So why would another team spend like the Dodgers when they're not getting $300 million a year? Because let me tell you something, the Dodgers would not spend the Dodgers wouldn't spend all the money they have if they weren't getting over $300 million a year from Time Warner. So they don't give you the true story on that. So it makes them look great, everybody else look bad, and it's like, yeah, it's a percent. There is a problem. And that's why you need a salary cap. Why do you need a salary cap? Well, we all say the NFL works, right? Do they have a salary cap?
Yes.
You like the NBA?
Yeah.
NHL?
Yeah.
They all have salary. Why are we the one sport that, oh my God, salary cap doesn't work? Wait, it works in all the other sports. Is there something I don't know that we have that doesn't work? Hockey's got a lot of players. NFL's got a lot of players. NBA. Well, how does the salary cap not work for us when it works for everybody else?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's crazy. Monday, wait, did I stall enough time for
Monday,
you?
4 o'clock.
Monday, 4 o'clock. You're going to love our set. The show is going to look great. It's going to be awesome. Opening day in Sacramento. The ballpark's going to look great. You should have heard what everybody was saying looking at Tampa for the first time versus what they were in that and the Trop. And no offense, what the Coliseum looked like all these years, you're going to see it's you wait. I'm excited. Can't wait to see all of you opening day. Can't wait. We're going to be up in a little bit. Shooty Babbitt and I, A's Cast on NBC Sports California, breaking it down. You'll hear it here on the A's Radio Network and A's Cast. And you can also watch it on NBC. Great job, Cody. I will see you on Monday.
Great job. See you on TV.
Mark Kotsay Show now. Right here on A's Cast, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. Mark Kotsay, we have the new sponsor for you. How's the Bronco? How's the new ride?
Yeah, the Bronco's great. I haven't really driven one very much, and it rides great. The rag top on it, no idea how to work it. Eventually, maybe it'll come down. I don't know, but this bald head can't take too much sun, so we'll have to probably keep it on.
Well, the one thing that we're always going to talk about with them is it's a great experience. And, of course, you had a great experience picking up the car.
I did, yeah. Great group of guys and people there that, obviously have a long history in the business, and they're great. They're people that make you feel welcome and take care of you.
All right, so before we get into last night's action, obviously we're talking to you a day after game one. Just overall, the feeling, how you think camp went, and how you feel about this team going into the 2025 season.
Yeah, I thought our camp went great. A lot of times you get into spring training and week 4 of camp, you're dredging along and you think, oh, wow, man, I've got 2 more weeks of this. But this camp went really fast. I thought the guys did a great job of working, getting after it, and coming together as a club. Obviously we had some new faces in camp. We actually incorporated some new training methods. We had some individual days that I really liked and enjoyed in the schedule that gave some guys, a little bit more rest. You think about spring training, guys getting to the clubhouse at 6 a.m. and things have kind of evolved. Things have changed. Rest is equally as important in the training aspect of things. So I thought overall we had a great camp this year.
Now, of course, the last 76 games of the season, your team went 39-37, played much better baseball. What do you think is going to be different about this season overall, the 162, about your club?
Well, there's a level of confidence about this club. There's obviously a level of expectation that hasn't been here in the past. We're coming off a tough loss last night, so you can see the mood that I'm in. But overall, we've got a lot of work still in front of us, and we realize that we're still a young club. We had 3 players under the age of 23 on the starting lineup last night, which that's an encouragement, right? That should be exciting for our fan base to know that we're still developing. We're still bringing up young players that can impact the game. Tyler Soderstrom being one last night. We have a young kid, Max Muncy, that made his major league debut last night, and then you've got Jacob Wilson at shortstop. So it's still a work in progress. We're still putting things together and building this thing for the future as well.
And how about Severino last night? You paid him to be the dude, and he looked like that guy.
Yeah, he really did, and there you have it in the 6th inning, right? You ride the horse. You got a number 1 out there. He got into some trouble, and he got himself out of it, and you could see the velocity tick up. You see the intensity tick up, and you recognize when he got through it, the emotion of that inning, the power that he has to really get things done.
Yeah, when you start seeing 98, 99 there at the end, you're like, wow, yeah, he's going for it. And is that always tough to you for you as a manager, that you love seeing it, but it's also the first start? You've got 31, 32 more of these to go for him.
Yeah, a little more stressful than we wanted last night for sure. With Sevy, Scott Emerson's a great pitching coach. He looks out for his starters for sure, and he was tugging me the whole time. So, Sevy and I made eye contact there when there was 1 out, and he recognized the pin was up and that I was thinking about coming out, and he gave me the I got this, and that's all you need to do for me as a former player. I put a lot of trust into these guys, and obviously it worked out last night.
What are your expectations for Springs early?
Jeffrey, that's where we're the question for. Sorry, I couldn't really hear you, but for Springs, it's a guy that's coming off a shortened season last year. He made 7 starts, I think, and they shut him down. But overall, I don't have a ton of expectation. I've seen him pitch some. He's pitched against us in the past. He's fastball changeup guy. He's got to change speeds, keep it to the bottom of the zone in that lane to have success. So, I'm excited about getting him out there and giving him this opportunity to go out and pitch in the 2-hole and help us win.
Going back to your young players, you look at the 3 hits you had last night. Obviously, Jacob had your first hit, and then of course Tyler Soderstrom with the 2 bombs there. How important is it for the young guys? So Muncy in there. How important is it for the young guys to get off to a good start early?
Yeah, there's always anxiety, right? There's anxiety to get your first win. There's anxiety to go and get your first hit, to make your first play. So Muncy had a line drive rocket hit at him by a Rosarena that found his glove, which was great early in the game. You're always chasing that first one, and there's no hiding that. So, our first 4 guys in the lineup last night didn't get on base, and Butler got on base once. So that's going to impact the success, right? When those first 4 guys aren't producing. But it was nice to see Tyler, have 2 great at bats and drive the baseball out of the ballpark. We know he has that ability, and it was nice to see last night for sure.
And the reality is, when you go up against the Seattle Mariners, you're going up against basically a top-notch starter every single game.
Yeah, one of the best pitchers in the game last night, Logan Gilbert, right? And Sevy did his job in matching them. We had the 2-1 lead, and we just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, the bullpen, it's always, you never know early. What's it like for you deciding the matchups, where you're going to go? It's only just 1 game. Obviously, bullpen guys don't want to come in and give up walks and give up hits and give up home runs. But just talk about matchups and how you're going to progress at the start of the season with your bullpen.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's you said it correctly in trying to figure the bullpen out. But you lean on the experience early. You go with the guys that have been in those situations. Obviously, Jose Leclerc's closed games in the big leagues, closed games in World Series. He's been in that environment. He made a bad pitch to Rosarena, that 0-2 breaking ball that was left up in the zone, and then you get that momentum. You get that energy created in the stadium with the walk to Rayleigh, and then a fastball 2-2 that's left out over. We're trying to go in there. We didn't execute the pitches, but he's been in those spots, and you've got to give the trust and to start the year out with those guys that have done it. It's been same with Ferguson. He came out last night, walked 2 guys, and then we have a play that is very unusual, very uncommon that happens, and we still had a chance to get out of that inning. And he hangs the 0-2 breaking ball for the sac fly. So execution late in the bullpen, we've got to be better. And like you said, we've got to identify those roles, and it does take time. And then there's a process to that as well.
And how excited are you to have a full season of Mason Miller without, having the training wheels on and worried about whether he can do the job? This guy's hell on wheels. Let him go. You got to be excited.
I am. We got to get the ball to him for sure. That's the first and foremost part of it. Finding guys that can get the ball to him. And but yes, Mason's healthy. Obviously, we want to manage his workload. But you're right. The training wheels are off, and we're excited about what he's able to do. And how he can impact games for us.
Well, let's end on this. Every job you have, every year, you progress and you learn more and you change and you want to grow and you want to be better. So now you've had this gig for a few years. You've now have the contract extension. What do you think that's different for you? What do you think you've learned? What do you want to implement differently going into this season?
Yeah, I think just continuing to grow in terms of handling players and understanding the communication part of it is very important. This group's come together, and it's going to continue to grow. I'm just blessed to be a part of that growth and continue to make improvements on a daily basis. For me, our challenge is, like you said, in the beginning of the year, it's finding this nucleus, finding this rhythm for the bullpen. And I think there's a lot of growth in that as well from my first season in handling and in trusting these guys, and you saw that last night with Sevi. A lot of times in those situations, you go out and get the ball from him. This is a guy that can lead the staff and have huge impact. So, I love what I do. Never going to stop working, never going to stop teaching. And that's kind of the mentality around here with my staff. We still have a lot in front of us to get better with.
Well, next time we see you, it's going to be in Sacramento at Sutter Health, and we're going into a ballpark that really is an unknown for everybody. So I think our next conversation, we're going to be talking about how do you think this ballpark plays, and we won't really know once it gets hotter, but you'll have a better idea once you get a few games in there.
Yeah, we will. We will. Excited about the home stand against the Cubs and getting into that ballpark and seeing the energy that ballpark's going to provide. It'll be another opening day for us. Then we're off to Colorado for a third opening day. So I think that'll be the next time that we get back on this A's cast, and we'll probably have a lot to talk about.
The Mark Kotsay Show brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. You're going to love this dealership. Great deals everywhere. All right, Kots, great stuff, and we will see you in Sacramento next week.
Sounds good, Towny. Thanks.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, now 7 years in a row. Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction, in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.